This week's episode is sponsored by ExtraStatic. ExtraStatic is a hosting service for Svelte blogs. Svelte blogs combine the simple conventions of Jekyll with the incredible power of Svelte. Check it out at extrastatic.com.
Radio.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Svelte Radio. We're here again after a month of no episodes. It's hard to schedule stuff, and then things happen, but we're here. I'm Kevin, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Antony and Sean. Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey.
We're back.
We're back. And today we also have a guest, Domenik. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Domenik. I'm a father of 4 kids. So if you hear any noise in the background, that's one of them. I work as a development lead in the beautiful city of Vienna at Emakina CEE, which stands for Central Eastern Europe. And yeah, we are part of EPAM Group, if you heard of it. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun with my team of 15 people.
Yeah, cool. I can notice there in the background that you're a father with the baby clothing hanging on the washing line there. I didn't notice it until now.
Yeah, it's the reusable diapers.
Oh,
Cool.
I see. Cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, all your kids really young then?
The oldest
all-
is 5, and then
Okay.
4, and then 2 and half a year.
Oh,
Wow.
full house.
Full
Yeah.
house, yes.
All right, Domenik. So what's your background?
My original background is in mechatronics with a emphasis on robotics. I worked towards in that field for about 7 years, and then after my first son was born, I decided to switch. So I always had this hobby of web development, so I kind of switched and made my hobby my real work, my day job.
Nice. Cool. So I guess what you're doing now is you're actually building stuff with Svelte?
I'm
Maybe?
actually building stuff with Svelte and also building stuff without Svelte.
Oh, the horror. No, I'm just joking. All right. So do you use mostly Svelte, or is there other stuff that you're using more?
It depends. When the project allows it, I'll use it. But we have some old legacy projects that still use AngularJS. I mean, it's a project that's 7 years old, so there's no real way of using Svelte inside of that project because it's tightly integrated with the C# backend. So, yeah, I mean, we did like advent calendar in Svelte that was integrated into that old AngularJS website. So there's still ways, but in generally speaking, it's not really possible for all of the projects that I'm working on.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So today I learned that you can write software, right, without Svelte. I don't understand that. It's a completely new concept to me.
You've been in Svelte land for too long, Anthony. You
Yeah,
need to venture outside.
I've forgotten there was a
Into
world
the
outside the
darkness.
bubble. Yeah.
So you've been working on a larger kind of SvelteKit project lately, right?
Yes, pretty recently, like the end of last year, we launched a pretty huge pre-order platform for one of our grocery chains, where you can pre-order like huge bakery stuff. And yeah, we had about 8 weeks of development and launched in November last year.
Oh, exciting. So that's been live for quite a bit then.
Yeah, it has been quite a journey, and the customer is really happy, and they notice the snappiness of the site, and they're really, really happy with it. And they had like a bombastic December, like the revenue was over the roof. So they were really, really happy with what we built for them.
Oh, that's cool. Did you, November, that must have been, in SvelteKit time, that must have been like the Stone Age almost.
Yeah, almost. Most of the stuff was stable, but there were still some issues that we encountered. Like one of them, I think that's partly because of Vite. We had issues with virtual folders or something like that, where it didn't compile correctly, either in development mode or in live mode. So it was kind of tricky to fix that. Well,
you launched the project, so I assume you did fix it?
Yeah, we kind of fixed it, but
yeah. Cool. So what have been your experience? Has it been mostly positive, or?
Yes, really positive. I mean, I'm the Svelte spearhead, if you want to say, in my company, and I had the pleasure to decide technology on that project. So we were a team of 6 developers in all, I think, or 5 developers, and they all enjoyed it, even though they had to do with Svelte and SvelteKit for the first time. So what I really appreciated was like onboarding time. It was quick, and like considering those 8 weeks we had for development, that really helped us in the process of getting it out there and getting it done.
A question around, obviously, SvelteKit being an early stage when you started with it and stuff. How did you convince the business that was something that they should get involved in? You know, considering this word people use, this phrase, production ready. You know, it's not production ready because it's not got a round number at the start of the version.
They don't really care, as long as like our clients didn't really care.
Okay.
We just need to deliver something that's good and stable. Apart from that, like, it's our decision, and if we mess it up, we have to fix it.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I guess that's why people come to consultancies.
Exactly.
Consultancy
Yes.
agencies, right?
Yeah.
It's very common for companies to force technologies on agencies as well, though. At least in my experience.
Well, for us, it's really an issue that technologies are forced, but
that's good. Get to work on what you want.
Yes, if possible, Svelte all the way. Yeah, I mean, I believe the reason why we had like not a lot of issues was because we used like a static generated site. So like we only had to deal with a part of SvelteKit and not like the whole like server-side rendering, and like less code also means less bugs, even for Svelte.
Yep, definitely true.
Oh, I have a question then. What is your styling solution?
Styling, like CSS?
Yeah.
Yeah, we use Tailwind because one of our front-end developers was already pretty experienced with it, and it really helped like have like a common predefined language, which allowed us to move really, really fast in that as well. So like considering those 8 weeks, that was also a really important and good decision to make.
It's just funny because one of the original reasons that I moved to Svelte was because they had sort of built-in inline styles if we needed it. And then we end up not using it 99% of the time. Like, sometimes you need it.
We still use it for custom stuff, but the general and generic stuff, like it's not Tailwind only, but it's like utility. It's called utility first and not utility only. So we were still heavily using and relying on those styles in there.
It's interesting with styling nowadays. People seem to love Tailwind. I had so I did an episode of building Svelte Society yesterday, and I had Maddie Ostoya on. She's built something like a CSS custom property utility first framework, I guess. So it's like Tailwind, but instead of classes, it uses custom properties. You guys have probably heard of Open Props by Adam Argyle. So it's something like that.
Heard of Open Props? What's Open Props?
So it's pretty much what I described, but another variant.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So instead of having like, I don't know what the Tailwind classes are for padding or whatever, is it P-2 or something like that?
P- whatever.
Yeah. So you just have a custom property that would be the equivalent of that.
Oh.
It's basically Tailwind without Tailwind if you only relied on CSS variables.
Yep, pretty much.
Are we already in a post-Tailwind world?
I guess we'll see in the coming years. So any downsides? What did you, any problems that you ran into?
I mean, mostly the problem that we had was with deployment. That was not a SvelteKit issue, because we were like confined to Azure, and we were using GitLab for deploy, our Git repo. So the problem there's no integration, so we kind of had to hack around it and build our own CI/CD for deploying to Azure static websites, which worked out in the end, but it gave us some trouble in the beginning.
Yep. So other than Azure, do you have a backend API that you're using, or?
We actually have two backend APIs that we're using, one for the admin console and one for the normal pre-order service.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And what are you used to build that?
We used .NET Core, or as it's now called, just .NET.
This is interesting, because I have no idea about anything surrounding .NET or those kinds of things. Is it? Yeah. I guess it's just like, I guess it's just like a backend.
Yeah, it's C#. I think it's also pretty popular in some of the questionnaires about developer questionnaires and what they use and like to use. And yeah, I mean, it's historically our company has built a lot on top of Microsoft and .NET, also the old .NET framework. So we have a lot of experience in that area working with C#, and it worked pretty nicely. So we had a static website and C# in the backend and API-driven application, pretty much.
So you don't use any of the .NET front-end stuff at all, is that? It's just
no,
backend.
Just API.
Cool.
All right. So in SvelteKit, what kind of stuff are you feeling like? What's missing in SvelteKit?
That's a really hard question that I don't think I have an answer to. Yeah. Probably looking at a different project where I thought about also using SvelteKit, the E18N stuff is still missing, but that's like a huge topic, and I followed the issues there on and off on GitHub, and most people mix and match the E18N stuff with translation stuff, and to me that's totally separate stuff, because E18N can be baked in to the framework, but translations can still be up in the air or totally in the hands of the developer, which with our external CMSs that we usually use in our projects, we don't really care about translation because that's done inside a CMS.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things that I've never really had to worry about. I've just always been building English language websites pretty much. So, but I mean, there are a lot of countries where there are multiple languages, right? I assume countries like Switzerland would be a hassle. And you probably wouldn't use SvelteKit there until there's a proper implementation of internationalization or some solution.
I don't know who exactly made, there was one great suggestion to have like an optional spread, like an optional parameter. So you could have the E18N like default folder, but you could catch also the non-prefixed E18N version, like the standard language, and would not have to duplicate code, which would be pretty cool. And I think it could be even used for other stuff as well.
Yeah. Sounds interesting.
Yeah. I think optional spread makes internationalization a lot easier than it was previously. That was probably one of the big drivers for adding it, I think.
How do you manage the content, the translations?
Where at this project we didn't have any translations. It's just an Austrian-based company and just German, and not even content management. We just hard-coded in there.
Right.
Makes sense.
That's the future, in my opinion. Hard-coded content. It just makes it so much easier.
I mean, it's not really about the content; it's about the products, and like the products can be adapted through the backend admin panel.
Cool. That makes sense. So, Antony, you work at a company that builds tourist services.
Indeed.
And I assume at some point you're going to build something that isn't English. Have you guys thought anything about internationalization?
Well, I think the last time I really did internationalization like that, I just kind of rolled my own with a bunch of JSON files that was generated by a tool that we found online that worked well. We did it with Google Spreadsheets before that, honestly. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, because, ultimately you can always do it in a spreadsheet in the simplest form. You have the sort of key at the start, or the English term, and then you have the other languages. You build a bunch of JSON files from it. We generate that at build time on CI. And then you can switch the language, or you publish different sites. We published different sites last time, so we kind of did multiple bundles, but you could also do it dynamically. There's lots of different options. So I don't know, my requirements for this have not ever been complex enough that I've worried about having like this all bells and whistles solution. I've always gone with the simplest possible thing and then just upgraded as necessary. We used a tool, I think it was called like Lingo Hub or something. They might even have been Austrian. And I wrote, they didn't have any tooling at all around Node. They didn't have anything. And I looked at their API and it was really simple. So I built this little CLI for them. The tool worked perfectly. People in the business could use it easily online. And I wrote the CLI and I sent it to them via their little chat widget. And I got absolutely no response. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm not using it anymore. So I haven't decided who I'm going to use next. But how dare you not reply to my CLI that I spent, at least hours writing for you with full tests and everything. But yeah, no, I mean, the tool, seriously, the tool worked well. And it for a sort of pretty basic multiple language site, it worked pretty well. So I'd probably start there again, start super simple, and then work my way up and see what kind of requirements we come up with. Because I think that ultimately the point where it starts to concern me is not going to be solved by SvelteKit anyway, because it's the point where you need not internationalization, but I think it's called globalization. So it's a thing you do before you internationalize that makes the site work in different jurisdictions or different regions. Because
so right to left and stuff.
Things like that, but also even the way you display information in different countries differs because people in different countries have different opinions on things. And so that sort of stuff is, for me, a lot more complex because it requires a CMS that needs a lot of flexibility, a lot of ability to move things around and shift and change things. And then we're in deep CMS territory and then it gets all rather complicated. So that's the bit that gives me the fear.
Well, we kind of came up with a pretty nice architecture. We plan on doing a static site that's CMS driven and it has multiple languages. So if there's anything that changes, it kind of triggers the rebuild process. And the nice thing about it is you don't really build pages, you just build page widgets, and those can be organized by the customer or inside of the CMS as for each language in whatever way is needed.
Oh, interesting.
So it's like a CMS-driven generation, and like especially thinking about multiple languages and how content is structured different, that could really help.
Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, since you used SvelteKit, you also used Svelte.
I did.
What's the positives and negatives? You found?
We used like stores. We used heavily. We also used actions quite a bit. Some of them I put into my own small packages. I called them SvelteKits for Svelte packages. I was really surprised that its name was still available.
So is that SVA? So just SV instead of the P?
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
So I think there should be 5 or so on NPM under that namespace, and yeah, like those really help to abstract some stuff away and make it easy for us to handle interactions. Or focus management was one of the really nice things.
Yeah. Yeah, focus is tough.
Yes, and
or accessibility rather is hard.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
Do you think that Svelte should have a bunch of built-in common actions like focus, things like that, part of the core?
I would say no, because they're really easy to write.
Sure.
And it might like to build something that generic might be a greater impact on your lines of code or like the bytes you ship, if compared to when you write something that's custom fit for your project.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's those use cases are easy enough that you can do it yourself, in my opinion.
Cool. Yeah, that's good.
I mean, for stores, it might be nice to have the option to have a persistent store that, I mean, write to local storage.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Or session storage, depending on the use case.
And I think actually, yeah, I agree with that, because it becomes more and more a common requirement actually. And actually, you can do it if you know what you're doing relatively easily. But for somebody who doesn't, despite the documentation saying, this is a very simple store contract and this is how you do it, it's not actually that obvious. And I think that it would be good at least to either document this in the docs saying, hey, look, here's how you can save something when someone updates a store, or to just, publish that store that does, persist to whatever is necessary, session storage, local storage, cookies, anything like that.
Yeah, that might be a good idea, especially for if someone jumps in like relatively new and then wonders, where's all my data?
Yeah. So
this project, is there any continuation on it? Are you going to keep working on it, or are there...
We kind of built that project for this one client who is part of a bigger company. And inside the company, there's another like smaller player, and it looks like we will redo or re-implement that same solution for them as well, with a few tweaks there. So, but apart from that, I think we're pretty done with development as far as I know.
So no new Svelte projects on the horizon, or other than that?
Not yet, but I'm pretty hopeful that because it worked out really well, that the momentum to do it again would be pretty great.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, a little side note here, we will like have our research topics this year. We're almost there where we picked all of them out, and all of our front-end guys will have to look at the Svelte tutorial this year. So everyone in my team will know about Svelte.
Excellent. Excellent news. Svelte is taking over the world, you know?
Slowly, step by step.
It's a fact today.
Fact?
No, not really, but soon. Soon.
When someone says it's a fact, it often isn't a fact.
That's
that a
actually
fact?
true. That is actually a fact.
That is a fact.
Wait a minute. All right. So you told us before here that you were just accepted as a speaker at a conference. What are you going to tell us about that?
I was really excited yesterday. I got I applied as a speaker at We Are Developers this year. It's in June in Berlin, like an in-person conference. And I'll be there speaking about SvelteKit and the project that we did. And I think it will be great and really exciting to have SvelteKit and Svelte even more in the spotlight than it already is.
Yeah, exciting. So have you? So I guess you haven't started planning for the talk yet.
I kind of did, because we'll do an internal presentation, and so some of the slides will make it into the talk there.
Yeah. So that's a preliminary presentation to make sure it's from the organizer side, or how does that work?
No. That's like an internal presentation that we plan to do, because we'll want to use the project as a showcase.
I see.
So we will put all the information, make all information available inside of our company, and then marketing can take over from there.
Yep. All right. Yeah, I thought you meant like an internal talk for the conference.
No.
Okay.
I'll just reuse some of the slides there.
Yep, that makes sense. So, go ahead, Sean.
Oh, well, for those who haven't seen the pictures, I think We Are Developers is one of the bigger conferences in Europe. And for American developers, European conferences, when they go big, they go really big. So I remember, I think this is before the pandemic though, so I'm not sure what changed, but I remember that they're one of the conferences that has sort of the wall-to-wall screens, just giant, like you look tiny compared to the screens. So it's a very impressive venue. So congrats on getting that kind of talk, and looking forward to seeing you represent Svelte there.
Yeah, I think it will not be on the main stage, but even still.
We can hope. Well, is that the kind of venue I need for Svelte Summit in fall?
Giant screen.
Yeah, you need that, but it will be very expensive.
Yeah. I've been hunting for venues, and I've got a couple that I'm closing in on. So yeah. Oh, we forgot to talk about Svelte Summit Spring. It's announced. I don't think we talked about that last episode. So yeah, there's a new Svelte Summit coming up April 30th. You can submit talks. You can sponsor. You can spread it around Twitter. You can you can sign up to the newsletter. And I guess that's the pitch. It's not a very good pitch, but it's a pitch. All right, so before we head off into unpopular opinions, let's talk a bit about the Svelte community in Austria and Vienna. Is that something that exists, or?
It's not a thing yet. And as you can imagine, with 4 kids, full-time job, and in addition to that, being a musician, there's not a lot of time left if I want to do all the other stuff really well. Which
sounds like a time crunch.
It is, yeah. But I met one guy who's also in Vienna, who has a company who tries to do a lot of Svelte stuff. And maybe in the long run, there will be something happening in Vienna. I mean, that would be really cool. Yeah. But right now, I don't see how I could manage the time.
Yeah, it makes sense. I really like Vienna. I need a reason to go there.
Mannerschnitten. It's enough reason to come.
What is that?
That's little waffles with chocolate in between, like layers. So that's one of the things that Vienna is famous for. The Mannerschnitten.
Yeah. Sounds like a good reason to go to Vienna.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think Anthony, you put this here on the show notes.
Yes. Right, so I mean, Decathlon obviously is a global brand and it's all over Europe and stuff, and they've been running the new Decathlon site, which is written in Svelte. I don't know if it's Sapper or Svelte or whatever else. We've been running that for actually a year or so now, but they had not rolled out the UK site and it was still using whatever it used before. It was very slow and pretty awful to navigate, and I just went on the other day, and ta-da! It's not only got a picture of Decathlon's HQ, which is literally down around the corner from my house, which is weird because it's a French company. Not only has it got that, but it's all SvelteKit, and it's just super nice to use. And the reason I noticed actually is because they've done that, you know, the way where they have like typewriter text, where you see a word and it says like search for product, search for else. Their search bar has a little typey thing saying search for products, search for brands, search for, you know, and it's kind of cool. Yeah. I quite like it. But yeah, it's cool that they've now rolled out, and it must be nice for them too to have the same thing running in every country. But it's just really good to use, and I put it on Twitter, and a bunch of people who are local to me who are like, "Wow, that is easy to use, and you know, much more fluent and fast and snappy, and so awesome."
Yeah. Another reason that Svelte is taking over the world.
Indeed.
You heard it here first, people.
Fact.
Fact. All right. Okay. Is there anything else that you want to talk about before we head into unpopular opinions?
I don't think so.
All right. So, Anthony, take it away.
Okay. So, I'm gonna not just mention the name of this site because it's quite a big site, and to be fair, the core staple of their product does actually work pretty well, but everything else around it's just trash. And it made me think, you know, but I was trying to resolve this problem with them, and they were just. I went through 5 levels of support, their support staff, until I got to like the person who runs support, I guess. And that person actually trash talked the other levels of support, which has happened before with this site. And you know, saying, "Oh, another department in our company is useless," and I'm like, seriously, like even if it wasn't, even if it is, which it definitely is, that's not what the company line should be, right? That our support staff suck.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
So no names mentioned, but I'll say that I guess when you're building a product and, you know, you've got some tech debt or whatever else, you've got 2 forks to go down. One is you either fix your product so it works and is self-serve. And if it isn't, which this product really isn't, then at least have good support that are knowledgeable and know what they're doing. You can't have both being crap, right? Because it makes the product completely unusable and you're sort of locked into it and you're stuck there with this complete mess. And my ultimate line to support was, I'm basically leaving you as soon as possible because I'm done. I'm fed up. And what else can you do? You know, if they can't fix it, you're stuffed.
Yeah.
And their docs suck as well, which just, you know, icing on the cake. So, yeah. My rant is basically do better.
You know, I don't think that's an unpopular opinion.
No, it probably isn't. I guess it's probably just an opinion.
Should we rename this to rants / unpopular
probably,
opinions?
Yeah. Well, I think
rants.
Yeah.
What we've learned here is that ultimately, all of my unpopular opinions, because of my influence, are actually just becoming popular opinions.
Oh.
Fact.
I don't know about that.
No, it's fact. I just said it. It's definitely a fact.
Of course, 100%. All right. I don't have an unpopular opinion. Sean looks like he has an unpopular opinion.
I've got a quick one. So I've been working on a kind of a starter project for SvelteKit called SvelteKit. Mostly it is an integration test for the Netlify adapter, which I feel almost like professionally obliged to help maintain. But also I think it was a nice playground because I did rewrite for my own personal site to SvelteKit from Elder.js, and SvelteKit was kind of like a standalone like template that people can grab and go. And one of the main changes I made was I was very tired of making Git commits every time I wanted to change content. So I was looking for a lightweight CMS solution that doesn't involve paying Contentful like $100 or something. I'm sure they have a good free tier, but I wanted to sort of keep the stack light. So I was very inspired by OneGraph, which uses GitHub issues as their CMS, and it fits most of my criteria, which is that it needs to accept a Markdown, it needs to have easy mobile friendly editing, and it needs to be able to just paste in images. Like I don't want to have a whole separate image upload process and all that. That's super complicated. I just want to be able to copy something to my clipboard and then paste it in, and then just have it all done correctly. And then as a nice bonus, having also social reactions and comment layers. So GitHub Issues has all of that. And so I created GitHub Issues as CMS, and everything seems to work. And when I demoed it recently to some guys from StackBit, they were just blown away. I had a call with them. They were supposed to demo me stuff, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I mentioned it on my site." And then they were like, "Wait, what is that?" And then show us that, and they were very impressed. So try it out if you want. There's a easy sample code that you can grab. It's actually not that difficult if you use the GitHub Issues API.
That's an interesting idea.
You can even write Svelte. You can even write Svelte components in the GitHub issue, and then if you set up the build chain right, you can actually have interactive components from GitHub Issues. Because like ultimately, you're just putting in text, and you're just taking out text, and then you can just build that into your Svelte compile toolchain.
Something to explore.
Cool.
All right, Domenik, you have an unpopular opinion.
Yes, I do. Let's see how unpopular it is. Like coming from robotics, and my approach to tools has always been to use the right one. So like if I have a hammer, I don't try to make everything a nail, a kind of approach. So my unpopular opinion is that also that it also is for Svelte, that it's not the right tool for every problem that we encounter, and that we should, even when we're fanboys, that we should think about where we need the tools that meet our criteria. Like as Sean mentioned, GitHub meets all his criteria, GitHub Issues as a CMS. So that's like an awesome example of using the right tool or the fitting tool for the problem that's at hand.
Yeah, that seems like a popular opinion, but probably one that most people don't adhere to. Well, yes. Maybe not most, but a lot of people don't adhere to it.
We can't rename this section to popular opinions.
Yeah, my counter to that is that right tool for most jobs is actually better than right tool for the job, because ultimately there's a limit to how many tools you can know.
Speak yourself, Sean.
That's my modification.
All right, I guess we go into picks, and I haven't figured one out, so I'll let you guys go first before I.
Fair enough.
While I
look around
scramble.
Your room.
Yep.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, but Kev famously has nothing in his room. He just sits in a room with a desk and nothing else and a chair.
That is true. That is true.
It's very Scandinavian, isn't it? Very, very minimalist.
Minimalist design.
Yeah. Okay, so I do. Sorry, sure, Kev.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So I do have a pick. And weirdly enough, it's not on my desk today. I was going to put it here, and I haven't done. But so a company called Pine, they're known for making sort of, I guess, at-cost hardware, which is interesting. So they make a laptop called a Pinebook and subsequently a Pinebook Pro. They're basically laptops running Linux on. They have been around for a while, but they're constantly out of stock because they don't have any sort of real, as far as I understand, process for manufacture, delivery, everything else, logistics, because they're just literally selling them at the cost that they make them at. So you kind of, if you're looking on the site and you see something, you can order one, and they say things like, don't return them because we can't afford to deal with the returns process because we're not making any profit. But it's great because it's very kind of like, we're just making something because we're passionate about it. So I've been looking at these for a while. I've wanted to get one just because I really want an ARM-based laptop, and Linux doesn't quite run on M1 yet. And I've been looking at these for probably about 3 years, and they're never ever in stock. So I went on eBay, started looking for one, and found one there, ordered it. I've paid a slight premium, but it's a great little laptop. Really neat, really well made. I think the actual manufacturer is Clevo. So it's like a rebanded Clevo, but it's nice, high quality, feels nice. It is a bit on the slow side because obviously it's just a rock chip, sort of tablet-based processor, but really good battery life, of course, being ARM-based. It runs Linux well. It's got its own custom distribution based on Manjaro. And I've noticed when I was looking at their site, they're releasing the Pine phone as well. So that Pine phone's out now in the wild.
Pine phone?
A Pine phone, yeah, a purely open source Linux-based phone. It is apparently very, very, very rudimentary right now. So you kind of turn the phone on the first time, you might get a screen full of text instead of an actual UI. But that's kind of how these things start. They start off, very basic, and the community and hackers and stuff get on and sort of start helping build it out and making something really nice community built. So my pick, I guess, is a Pinebook Pro because I've got one. But ultimately, I really like the company Pine as a whole, or a company or entity, whatever they are. I think it's really brave to go into this without any view to making profit, but it definitely shows a good degree of honesty and sort of niceness around it. And actually, their groups are quite alive, active with people discussing the hardware. They made a Pine watch as well. I can't remember what it's called, but
Pine Time.
Pine Time. Pine Time's the one. Yeah. So that's another interesting thing. I love all this.
Pretty funny name.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, all this stuff is all obviously ultimately hackable. So very interesting stuff. Yeah.
Good.
You haven't mentioned for the Pinebook Pro, the leading thing that I felt like it's important to mention was that the whole thing is $200.
Yes.
And you get pretty standard hardware for that. Like, I'm reading the specs, and it's like 64-bit dual-core ARM with 1.8 gigs of gigahertz, a GPU, 4 GB of RAM, like pretty standard, like, decent specs.
Nothing nice.
But like for a price of $200.
For $200, and
unusual.
It has NVMe support as well, so you can boot off a super fast hard drive and stuff. Actually, nice. One thing I didn't mention that I should mention, the whole thing runs off 5 volts, so you can charge it from a phone battery, which is really, really interesting.
Wow.
you can plug the power supply into a USB port and charge it. I mean, that's just cool.
Is that great?
Yeah. Nice pick.
All right. So I'll go next. I think what prompted this one was your video that you released yesterday, Sean. You made a video about DSLRs as webcams.
Okay. Yeah, tell me more.
Yeah, so I actually did this a couple of weeks ago. So I'm using also a DSLR as a webcam, and I find the picture quality to be a lot better than a webcam. But it's, I don't know, like it's a nice thing, but I'm not sure if it's worth it, like monetarily, financially. But if you do it as a job, it's definitely something to look into. Like if you want to record stuff in a higher quality. Yeah. So that's
the feedback that I got from that video was that lighting is actually going to do a lot more for you, as well as having a nice backdrop. What you're seeing right now, what we're recording with, is my Logitech webcam, and it obviously does a good enough job. I just wanted to try it since it seems so popular by a lot of streamers and people who care about video. I think having the bokeh effect is also really nice. But these are luxuries I don't have. Like, I have a very small room. I don't have the ability to like rearrange things too much. So I don't know. I think you make do with what you have. And Absolutely. So far, I haven't been very impressed by my $500 investment in DSLR setup.
Okay. Oh, that's too bad.
So maybe that's my unpopular opinion, that I don't like the DSLR setup so far. But no, I'm sure. Like, I also haven't invested a lot in learning about like white balance and focus and stuff like that. So I think there's just a lot. There's a huge step going from simple webcam to DSLR setup.
Absolutely.
And I always wonder, like, I feel like someone should just make a higher end webcam that has the mirrorless DSLR setup kind of baked in that connects through USB because and is powered by USB because that would basically fill a huge gap in the market that people are currently filling like in a DIY fashion. They just want a very high quality like video experience without all the hassle. So someone should go make that.
I do wonder if... Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, the troubles you have to go through to actually power it using, like, those dummy batteries, and you need, like, a...
Yeah.
Like
it's so stupid. It's the
video
wrong tool
capture
for the
card. Probably is, yeah.
And, it's also certain cameras as well, because they have to hold the something open to stop them overheating. I can't remember the exact terminology. Basically, something in there will overheat normally, even if you've got clean HDMI. But I think also, a lot of the cost of a DSLR is actually the lens. And so I wonder if a webcam that has that kind of quality lens on it to give you that bokeh in, to give that picture, is going to be any cheaper than just buying a DSLR. So I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot less hassle there, like Sean says.
Someone should make it, though. Like, I think I saw something called Opal, but that's just like a webcam with like multiple cameras, something like that. I don't know. Was it maybe multiple microphones? I don't know.
Interesting.
It seems to be mostly marketing, but I guess we'll see.
They should call it Fly Eye.
Fly? Oh, right.
Like a fly's eye, with all lenses.
That's my pick.
So I guess it's my turn.
Sean,
so I'm going to
turn.
pick... Yeah, I am going to pick the State of JS 2021. I don't think we've picked that yet because it came out while we were off. So it might be a bit old news, but maybe some people haven't heard about it. There's an annual survey that surveys the state of JavaScript, and we always try to send people there because we want to represent Svelte in a nice way. I think we had a good year this year, maybe not as good as last year where we were just number one in everything. But also this year was the first year that SvelteKit was featured, and SvelteKit debuted as the top sort of full stacky type framework ahead of Astro and Fastify and Next.js. Obviously, all of this is to be taken with a grain of salt because when we say top, we just mean in terms of satisfaction, which doesn't account for the actual popularity of the project. By actual popularity, Express.js is still the top full stack, sort of back-endy type framework, and then followed by Next.js. And I was actually digging into the NPM downloads recently. React is still growing very quickly, and Next.js is accelerating within React. So it just seems like a behemoth, and everyone else is kind of rushing to catch up. So that's the state of JavaScript. Any other takeaways that you guys saw?
Well, Svelte Radio is the top other podcast this year again. It was last year.
Oh, really?
That's
nice.
Thanks
for people writing. Yeah, you have to write that in. Thanks to everyone who did that. That's a very nice gesture.
It's like
yeah, I don't know.
But I remember it's like I was also extra award, isn't it? Because you're not ticking a box, you have to write it. That's cool.
Exactly. Yeah, write-ins are very meaningful. I was also like the bottom ranked influencer.
Oh no.
So I'm on the list though. So like
yeah.
Do you consider yourself an influencer?
I guess no. That's not the name. I forget what they called it, but like I was just making fun of myself.
Yes. Yeah. I'm sure you're gonna rise.
I'm bottom ranked, but at least I'm on the list.
Yep. Yeah, but also the surface. What do you call it? The end thing. The write up is by Sean. So he's influencing us.
Oh yeah, anyway. Yeah. So yeah, that was a big milestone for me. Like when I was actually learning JavaScript, I actually interviewed Sasha about the state of JavaScript, and then he DM'd me to invite me to write the conclusion this year, and that was a huge honor.
Yeah, congrats.
Nice, yeah.
All right,
so
Domenik.
I guess that leaves me. My pick is regex search and replace in VS Code. It helped me so many times refactor really efficiently. And it's very, very powerful, like with capture groups inside of your search query. And for those who don't know, you can kind of reuse your capture groups in the replace again. So when you want to have like capture all class strings inside of your HTML and capture all the classes that you use, you can reuse that pretty easily and structure it then in the way you like. So that helped me out very often to like refactor 40, 50, 100 files at once and never had an issue with it.
Oh, that's nice.
I always have to look up like capture group syntax. I'm still not very confident with it.
Same.
Yeah.
Regex is I mean, I should learn that.
I've used it very often, but I still go to regex first and then try out all the possible combinations that I'm looking for.
Right. Yeah.
Because I don't want to mess it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know you could do that with the search and replace.
Yeah, it's
pretty neat
pretty neat. Especially when you want some part of your search parameter to be moved back into the replace string.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. All right. So I think that's us. I think we got through all of the questions, all of the unpopular opinions, all the popular opinions, all the picks, all the rants, everything.
All the neither popular or unpopular opinions.
Exactly. So, Domenik, where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter. Sometimes when I have time, I also jump into Discord, Svelte Discord, and yeah, that's where people can find me.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on and telling us about your SvelteKit in production project, and
thanks for having me.
To everyone else, always a pleasure. So
thank you
to everyone else. We'll see you all next episode, whenever that's going to be.
Bye, I think it's the Sirens one. Yeah. Bye.
Yep. Bye.